Good afternoon and welcome to our graduates event focusing on the power of leaning into engagement with United Way. I'm Raylan Cox, Vice President of Communications and Donor Engagement for United Way. Joining us virtually today are members of our Women's Leadership Network, our Bridges Society, our Link Group, and our Women of Tocqueville Society. For those of you new to United Way, our Women's Leadership Network is an alliance of dynamic women committed to making positive changes in our community through philanthropy and volunteerism. Our Bridges Society is a diverse group of local leaders bonded by the belief in community change. Through giving, networking, and volunteering, Bridges members are making the Capital Region a better place for all of us. Our Link group includes donors aged 22 to 30 who engage in our community through networking and volunteering. And our Women of Tocqueville Society includes women giving $10,000 or more to our United Way annually. These women also make a positive impact through their volunteerism and engagement in our work. I'd also like to thank our sponsors for making today's event possible. Our WLN sponsors at the Platinum level, the United Way Foundation of the Capital Region, Gold level, Highmark Blue Shield, and Penn State Health. Silver, Brown, Schultz, Sheridan, and Fritz, the Hershey Company, KPMG, LLP, and Penn National Insurance. Our Bridges Society sponsors at the Gold level, United Way Foundation of the Capital Region, Silver, Capital Blue Cross and Penn National Insurance. Our bronze sponsor is KPMG LLP. Our Link sponsors include, at the gold level, the United Way Foundation of the Capital Region, bronze, Boyer and Ritter LLC and KPMG LLP. Our builders sponsor is Penn National Insurance. And today's technology sponsor is JP Lilly AV. The format for today is conversational, and we want to hear from you, so please share your questions. We will try to answer as many questions as possible. Anything not addressed will be answered and shared with you following the event. Now let's meet today's guests. I'd like to welcome our panel members and ask them to briefly introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about their career, as well as their current volunteer roles with United Way. Valerie, let's begin with you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Valerie Pritchett with ABC 27. I anchor a 5 to 6 hour, 7 to 7:30, and now the 11 p.m. show. I've been with ABC 27 for quite a while, and my involvement started with United Way in 1998. So I'm aging myself right now, but for those years that I've been on the United Way, it started off as just doing some volunteer work. And then I'm part of the Women's Leadership Network. I was the chair and then vice chair, and also on the United Way Board of Directors. And I also take part in the social media committees as well as the communication committees.
Wonderful. Thank you, Valerie. And Becky.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Becky McClure. I am currently Senior Vice President of Client Experience with River Wealth Advisors. It's a local wealth management firm. I have about 25 years of communications and marketing experience, first in politics, then in human capital consulting, then on to healthcare, and now wealth management. So I've kind of jumped around, but my foundation of what I brought to the organization is communications and marketing.
Wonderful. Bill, how about you?
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me on board. I am the Executive Vice President and Chief Lending Officer for Pennian Bank, a local Pennsylvania community bank. I currently am in charge of the consumer and commercial loan portfolio origination, the largest revenue driver to the bank. I've been a part of United Way since 2003. I'm currently the treasurer on the board of the United Way and chair of the finance committee, and I love it. Check out my shirt.
We're all very envious. We all wish we would have thought of that, Bill. Great job. And finally, Greg.
Thank you, Raylan. You're doing awesome, by the way. You look great, and happy to be here with everybody and everybody that joined us. In that picture you see is my beautiful daughter, Lauren, who's now, we just talked about her, she's a freshman in high school. So how time flies when you're not with the United Way. I'm the general manager of Enterprise Holdings. You know that as Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We have the National and Alamo car brands, as well as we sell cars and rent trucks. So hopefully you're all customers of ours. I've been with United Way since 2004, and I've served on many different boards and roles for them, and we'll hear about that today. My current role is I'm chair-elect on the United Way board, which means in 2021 I'll be the chair. So this fall and our future is extremely important to me and most important to United Way. So thanks everybody for joining us.
Thanks everyone, and we're certainly looking forward to your leadership, Greg. I'm interested to learn, what was that entry point for each of you into United Way, and what's kept you involved these years? Greg, if we can start with you.
Yes, certainly. So I've been with Enterprise Rent-A-Car for 29 years, which is crazy. And our company is owned by a family, the Taylor family, that chose the United Way to be their main charity department with our employees. And the reason I got involved and introduced was through my company. I had a lot of faith and loyalty to my company. And each year we do a workplace campaign, like so many companies. And our company stepped up and would match 50 cents in a dollar. They still do that today. And so I moved around with Enterprise, and what I found was in every city I lived in, there was a United Way, and neat things about the United Way. And so I was able to partner. And then once I moved to Harrisburg about 15 years ago, I became more involved, not only with volunteerism, but on the board and trying to provide some leadership. So it was more than just a donation. And I probably have stayed connected for a lot of reasons, but one main reason I've stayed connected to the United Way is probably the same reason Enterprise has. That is, it's a charity we can trust that allows our thousands of employees across the country and our hundreds of employees here in Pennsylvania to be involved in their local communities in many different ways, feel like they're giving an impact, and doing that through a world-class organization in Perry, the United Way, both nationally and locally.
Thank you. Thank you. Bill, how about you?
Sure. Like Greg, it's corporate lead me through our corporate campaign at the bank I was, and then started contributing there and kind of saw commercials on during NFL games about United Way. I know I always got an NFL schedule, never really knew what they did. And then one day, our CEO reached out to me and said, "Hey, there's an emerging leaders program that's being formed by the United Way. They need people to plan that. Would you be interested?" So yes, showed up and met some great people and have participated ever since.
Wonderful. How about Becky?
Okay, so I failed to express how I've been involved with the United Way in my introduction, so I'll do that as part of the answer to this question. So I was working at Aon. I was in Baltimore in the early 2000s and was introduced to a United Way corporate campaign through Aon, and was peripherally involved, I would say, more in terms of payroll deduction versus getting involved in the volunteer activities. The organization is incredibly large. Then fast forward just about 16 years, and I moved back to Harrisburg, started working at Capital Blue Cross. Capital Blue Cross has a significant and ongoing commitment to United Way, and I was extremely fortunate to kind of jump right in on that and took on a leadership role as a board member of United Way. And just the internal passion for the organization ignited that even further for me, and getting to know the leaders of United Way and the staff of United Way and the organizations impacted by United Way made that even more clear to me in terms of a long-term financial commitment as well as volunteering my time. And since then, I am now the chair of the Women of Tocqueville Committee as well as the Communications and Donor Engagement Committee, and it is a joy and a privilege, and I look forward to whatever comes next.
Thank you, Becky. We're very fortunate to have you on our team. Finally, Valerie, what was your initial touch point, and then why have you stayed engaged with United Way?
So originally when I came, the station had a very heavy presence in the United Way and involvement. Joe Lewin, who is our former general manager, also sat on the board, I believe, at one time. And he really gave this employees an opportunity to get involved. I've always loved doing volunteer work. I was a volunteer EMT, emergency medical technician, when I was a wee kid. And I also did water safety instructing. So I always had, and my family was very much into volunteerism. And so that was great to come to this place. It gave me a focus on where I could start and help out. I think what really drew me to this is that what the hands-on stuff that we do in the community, when we go out to the food bank and we make meals for people, and when we make crafts for kids and educational tools. So I like that hands-on activity. I also like the networking that we were able to do. And I think that's what drew me in. And of course, you know, once you're in the United Way, it's very hard to I want to get out anyway.
Very true. Very true. You've all mentioned some interesting starting points, and then as you've grown and where you are today, I'm curious to know of some interesting things that you may have learned about your involvement through your volunteerism. Valerie, if we can start with you.
Well, one thing I've learned is that volunteerism is something that's in my heart, and I really truly enjoy it. And I also learned how great of a community we have. Our community is phenomenal when it comes to giving and making a difference in the lives of those who need a hand up. And it's great to see all the people who volunteer with United Way. It's such a bonding experience and a network experience when you're out on a project and you get a chance to just interact and you know you're doing something good. And so I think that's one of the main reasons why I enjoy being on the United Way so much, and just seeing the difference that we make in the community in general and how we tool and refocus, and especially being on the board and really going for projects in our community that will truly make a difference and change lives and generations.
Very well said. Becky, how about you?
I was about to say the same thing. I'm not sure how I can follow up on that other than saying I echo Val's comments. I grew up with volunteerism. It is near and dear to my heart. And being on the United Way board, as we as an organization shifted to a collective impact model, was a really significant step for our organization. It was something that we all wholeheartedly believed in. It was challenged in terms of making the change, but I so strongly believe in the decision that we made and how much more we are now able to serve as that connector organization and sometimes as the umbrella organization for our community. And everywhere I look, I can see where the tentacles of United Way are touching organizations and people's lives. And it's something that builds on itself and just continues to engage you as an individual more and more the more you learn.
Couldn't agree more. Bill, do you have any experiences lessons learned that you have picked up from your involvement?
Sure. My biggest takeaway is learning what the United Way does. Prior to that, I really had no idea what the United Way did, but really what the United Way does is it brings people together, people, other nonprofits, charitable contributions. The focus is on the entire community, not just one aspect. So, you know, there's few organizations out there that really brings everyone together, volunteers, contributions, all the other nonprofits. You know, the other nonprofits are focused on their individual, you know, particular missions, but the mission of United Way is the entire community. After doing that, I couldn't stop volunteering.
Thank you. And Greg, how about yourself?
I moved here. I live and work in Harrisburg. I have the luxury of about a 4-minute commute. And what I found was my kids go to school 2 minutes down here, and I went to a minute down here. I lived in this little box here. And until I got involved in United Way my first year, I didn't know really what was going on in the entire community. And unfortunately, how much need there is out there. So my eyes were opened immediately. The United Way did that for me. And I agree with what was said already. Then I met so many awesome people, and there are so many great people in our community doing so many neat things just out of the goodness of their heart. And then it makes you want to be with them and want to help yourself. I also learned, one individual comes to mind. United Way gives us leadership opportunities where we can go. I was at a breakfast from another leader downtown in the community who happened to also be very involved in United Way. And he said he urges his employees to donate 10 hours a week of their time to philanthropy, to the community, 10 hours a week. So here I am sitting there, this is about 3-4 years ago, and I'm saying, I'm doing my part. And I started to add up my hours and said, my goodness, there are people doing their part. And I started to raise my internal expectations and talk to my team. I'm not sure I've ever hit 10 hours, but that's how many awesome people there are out there helping our community, which really does have a great.
I think for many of us, we choose volunteerism because of maybe the networking or the connections that we get to meet, like with all of you. Has it helped with your career goals or helped maybe enhance your profession? Becky, let's start with you.
Okay, so I would say that no one should volunteer for the motivation to advance a career. I think that's a nice outcome sometimes, and the reason I say that is because through volunteerism, no matter where you are in your career, you can hone leadership skills. I think that just that level of dedication of understanding that you are part of something bigger than yourself is something that organizations and other individuals like to connect to. It's kind of an emotional connection where you're willing to go an extra mile to make something better for somebody else. And I think that then translates nicely into how you function as a professional. So I think between leadership skills, networking with others, and you may be in a large organization and you get to know others in departments that you normally wouldn't interact with, and leaders of that organization who will get to know you on a different plane. And then also just the community at large. So meeting people in other industries, whether they're volunteers as volunteers or whether they are good corporate citizens, your network expands. So I would say that it certainly never hurts career advancement to be a strong volunteer.
Thank you, Becky. Valerie, do you have anything you would like to add?
Yes, I agree with Becky. I think volunteerism is not so much how to advance my career. It's really about giving back to my community. I mean, you meet the people, you have a chance to really take it to heart. So I think that is the core. The side benefit is that I get to meet people and interact with other, peers and get some mentoring and get new skills. We're doing leadership roles. But I think for me, I wasn't worried about it advancing my career. I wanted to advance me as a human being and make me a better person for my community.
Thank you, Valerie. That's beautifully said. Bill, would you have anything to add to Becky and Val's remarks?
Sure, I definitely agree with Val. I started out as a teller at the Capital City Mall and worked my way up through banking. Along that way, definitely the volunteerism, helping people, help to be more well-rounded, appreciate what you have. The other thing is serving on various boards and committees within the United Way has helped learn how to plan, how to be strategic, how to accomplish things, how to team build, work together with others that are different from you in order to achieve, a common goal. And being around like-minded people that all want to help the community, it's a rush, to tell you the truth. It's awesome.
I agree. And finally, Greg.
There's no question that being involved in United Way has helped my business. And I agree with Becky, that wasn't why I set out on this path. But I look back and I remember what Tim Fatzinger said to me. So at the time was our vice president, who's now our president. And he saw this new guy coming into town, I was going to say young guy coming into town. And I didn't know anybody. And he said, you're going to be asked to join a lot of boards. And I'm here to tell you, Greg, that if you want to be on the best board in the central Pennsylvania area to meet the most influential people, it's the United Way. And I walked away from that conversation saying, this guy's a great salesman, maybe I should hire him. I joined 5 or 6 boards over the last decade, and without question, my best business contacts have been through Bridges initially, and now through being on the main board of the United Way. And I'm going to name drop businesses. I mean, I've met people from Hershey, Pinnacle and Highmark, now UPMC, Blue Cross, all the major banks, major attorney firms, and then I met Valerie Pritchett. So I can sit down and watch the news with my family and say, I know that celebrity right there. If that's not a sales pitch, I don't know what is. And at Enterprise, everybody's a potential customer, right? I can rent you a truck, I can lease you a car, I can sell you a car. And so it truly helped my business. And truth be told, I have friends from when I was on Bridges so many years ago, and I still have some business partners that I met. So it's been, Tim was right. That's the best board in town, he was right.
All great reasons to join. Val, that may be our next t-shirt. Instead of Live United, join Bridges and get to meet Valerie Pritchett. through your years, all of you with us from beginning to where you are now, is there a specific, maybe an activity or a moment or a project maybe resonates with you that you're personally so proud to have been a part of? Bill, if we could kick it off with you.
Sure, definitely Bridges. I was part of the strategic planning committee for Bridges. It took us probably about a year of planning to get it up and running, and it was scary. We had no idea who we wanted to attract, who we could attract. We started with 0 members, and seeing the PowerPoint you just put up there, we're up to 795 members that contribute about $1.3 million. Planned it, we had no clue what was gonna we focused on volunteering, giving, and networking in order to attract people. And then there was a lot of debate on what section, what person should we go after? Should we go after more of a Bridget? Should we go after a Link? Ultimately, we came to the decision to go after more of a Bridges type person, with building the mass kind of population of that group to offset into Link later down the road, which turned out to be a great win. The other thing I'm proud of is I did a lot with the youth data caring, where we bring a lot of high schools throughout the together to volunteer in a service project. And then I've been long enough that both my daughters participated in youth data caring. So seeing them in their Live United t-shirts out there, cleaning up City Island is awesome.
I agree. That's very impactful, and we certainly We certainly look forward to hopefully having Youth Day of Caring next year. It's always one of the highlights for us. COVID has kept us away for 2 years, but it's a project we all love and can't wait to get back to. Becky, do you have a moment or a project you'd like to share?
I would say that as we did the transition to collective impact and understanding how we were moving away from program partners to the pilot programs in the various areas of healthcare and school readiness and workforce development, and of course the safety net. But I ran into 2 other organizations that were struggling with trying to understand how they could fit in the new United Way model. And at that point, I have to say I was extremely well versed in being able to deliver the message about the strategy and the philosophy around our pilot programs, and was able to successfully connect those 2 very deserving organizations into the pilot programs. And that was, I felt good as a United Way board member, and I also felt really good in terms of the relationships I had with those 2 other organizations.
Yeah, it is a rare opportunity when you get to be part of a change in an organizational structure, change in a business model, and we are very grateful for all the volunteers for their wisdom and their innovation and their hope and belief in our community. So we thank you for being part of that, Becky. Valerie, would you like to share something?
Sure. I think for me, it was when I was WLN chair and we made goal. Because anybody who's had those leadership positions, you're sweating and working hard. And thankfully, we have such a fantastic staff at the United Way. I want to give you all a round of applause for making it a journey, and an easy journey. But you still always have that worry about making your goal, not only membership, but in donation dollars. And that was a highlight for me for doing that year. And also, I think I agree with Becky, the pilot programs and seeing the difference that the United Way is making in lives, especially with education, with our young people, and giving them a really good head start. And, moving people to self-sufficiency, that's important. Everybody, you never know when you're going to need a hand, because, it's day by day. You're blessed today, but you may need a hand. And it's nice to know that the United Way is there to guide people and to help them again move to self-sufficiency. And again, I can't thank the volunteers enough in the community for people who come out, who care. It's been trying over the last few years, and trying to get between COVID and trying to get people to get through that time, not only physically but mentally. And it's good to see that the United Way is there to help people move on and move up.
Thank you, Val. And finally, Greg.
I'm going to give you an answer as a chair and then as a dad. And as a chair, I'm thinking of what Becky said about the pillars in kind of our initiatives today. I've always loved our community because I feel like we're just big enough or just small enough where we could wrap our arms around it. And the counterpart who is the chair of the United Way board, or was the chair in Philly, I talked to him a lot about Philly's a wonderful city, but it's big and it's hard to. I always feel like we have an opportunity to feel we're making a bigger impact. We can count how many kids are now in preschool through our programs. We can count how many families have health care through our programs that maybe didn't before. And that has been some special feeling and moments for me. As a dad, Val was mentioning this earlier, we always go back to these volunteer moments, and the United Way has allowed me to kind of blend certainly my business in philanthropy, but also my personal life in philanthropy. And I've coached my daughters in basketball, and one of their basketball teams met at a pantry. We handed out food to the recipients in Allison Hill, and it was so moving and eye-opening for our kids. Quite frankly, hadn't experienced that and needed to experience what kind of need there was out there. And it was such a fun day. I have to tell you, the celebrity of the day was my 6'4" freshman center, Caroline, and everybody wanted her to deliver the food to their car or their house because she was this amazing 6'4" person. So I'll never forget that.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing those. My next question is directly for Greg and for Bill. And Bill, you started to touch on this in your comments, so this is a perfect segue. You're both founding members of our Bridges Society. Today we have more than 700 members. I'm eager to hear what it was like being on that ground level, and then kind of a reflection of where it is today. Bill, if you want to kick us off.
Sure. It wasn't easy. We had a lot of great people that had great ideas, full of energy. So being able to harness that and focus together on a common goal was a little bit of a challenge to start. But eventually we got there. We were able to come up with those three kind of pillars, obviously the giving, but the volunteering. Today, we still have some projects that Bridges still does. The Barnes and Noble event where we can read to kids from Downey Elementary School. Was something we adopted. We did backpacks for kids. And then the networking was, we got access to certain things that no one else could. When Wegmans first opened, we had a sushi rolling event at Wegmans. And it was awesome seeing the chef do it. We could roll our own sushi. We try to think of innovative ways to engage donors, and we had great participation. So, it was scary. Like I said, we had 0 members, but being able to engage people and find like-minded people, and then not only engage them, but to say to them, hey, why don't you join one of these committees with us? We could really use your help, and seeing people more engaged with the United Way was definitely a rush.
Thank you, Bill, for all your hard work in getting Bridges off the ground. Greg, what would you like to add to Bill's comments?
I just remember having to carry Bill around. He wasn't that effective. He wasn't a good. Bill was the man, and I was the man. I had brown hair. I had a washboard stomach. None of that today, of course. It was awesome. I talked earlier about the young leaders I met, and I keep in touch with several of them and business partners with them. But for me, I'm thinking back, I think it really was my first official board. And I was intimidated, to be honest. I was intimidated on the time commitment. And I learned that I could do it. I could manage it. I could fit it into my crazy family life and my personal life. I was concerned if it really was just something to do, or were we really going to make an impact. To this point, we really made an impact. And it was tangible, and that to me got my juices flowing. It taught me kind of where my skills could help, right? And there were some things that I was doing in business as a general manager of enterprise that I felt I could bring over to the United Way and perhaps offer some help. So there are many things that you can do in the United Way as you join these boards, and I've tried to direct some of the things that I'm just not good at those things. I don't love doing those things. My skills are better over here, and the United Way has been versatile enough for me. And so what it's done, what that did, that experience with Bridges, is it, I think, positioned me to bring more to the United Way in different capacities over the next 10 years. And as Val said, once in, always in, and we want to help in the end.
Thank you both. My next question is for Valerie and for Becky. You're both members of WLN. Valerie, you have chaired the WLN committee. Why do you feel the work is so important? And we do have many female donors joining us today. What advice would you give them about the importance of joining a group like WLN? Valerie, if we can begin with you.
Sure. First is the connections. Not only have I made friends being on the United Way Women's Leadership Network, but also learning new skills. And as Greg had mentioned, you may not be good at something else, but you have somebody in your group that is, and you can learn from that. I also really enjoyed the fact that, again, staff was fantastic and made going through the process of becoming the chair of the Women's Leadership Network, made it a little easier. I think you should be involved just simply because you're doing good for your community and you're truly making a difference. I know that with WLN, we're always out doing projects, which I really enjoyed. And I also like the fact that the groups of women that we have are so diverse and have so much knowledge. So for me, that was one of my favorite. I mean, I have a lot of favorites on United Way, but that was definitely one of my favorite challenges for myself, to be able to do that type of leadership and then come out successful.
Wonderful. Thank you. Becky.
So I'll build on to so many of the great points that Val just made about doing good and having an impact in the community. That certainly is the primary reason to get involved in Women's Leadership Network. But I grew up in Harrisburg, but was gone for about 20 years. And when I came back into the community in a professional capacity that I had not been in before, because I left when I graduated from high school. So I needed to build my own network of people, women and men in our community. And going back to the Cavoli Blue Cross commitment to United Way, the WLN is it's really a force to be reckoned with within the Cavoli Blue Cross community. And I was, again, so fortunate to be exposed to that, to be able to meet people within my own organization that I learned so much from, but then, kind of leverage that into the community, other women across, Highmark, love those women too. And, and in all the industries, and like Val said, the diversity of the group it's just wonderful to feel the warmth of connection and knowing that we're all like-minded in why we're coming together.
I couldn't agree more. I miss both groups. I can't wait to start to get back face to face with all of you.
Yeah.
Greg, my next question is for you, although I encourage any of our panel members to join in. You mentioned the Taylor family and kind of how they set a precedent within Enterprise. How currently does Enterprise help support volunteerism, and now with your role as a leader within the company, how do you help encourage and support your team to volunteer and give back?
Yeah, I have, we do a lot. I have 3 or 4 items on my mind, and then I welcome my friends to join in. The Taylor family Enterprise still runs the campaign even through COVID. We shortened it, but still had some level of campaign, and there's still a match there. And so one of our jobs locally is to really promote giving, and we do that through a ton of fun events. One of our favorites is we have a casino night where, based on the donation you made, you get chips, and you can gamble and win prizes. And then that leads to a Texas Hold'em tournament at my house. And the Enterprise employee that has donated a certain level and then wins the Texas Hold'em tournament gets a trip. About that, a trip down to the beach. Like a lot of companies, we started giving paid time off to those that want to volunteer. And I find there's a business concern to that. Well, I'm going to have any employees to rent cars. I find that not everybody is in a position to do that. It's not the most important thing to them today, but those that do take advantage of that. So that's been a successful initiative. We hold many events in the community, so we offer these events to our folks, and sometimes they're after hours, sometimes but a lot of times they're during work hours. And I have my branch managers and management trainees come, and we've done things with Habitat for Humanity. So many of these partnered through the United Way. We've done the Day of Caring every year through the United Way. Cleaned up Allisonville was one that I recall. We do the trike race with the United Way and have never won that, but that's a conversation for another day. We've come in second a lot. We've got adopted school programs where we go into schools and really partner with the administrators and help the kids. And then we've had a great partnership in years past with Hamilton Health Center downtown. Actually, I think everyone I mentioned was a partnership that started through the United Way, and now we use it to take advantage of that for enterprise employees. The last thing, and Bill mentioned this earlier, I recommend Bridges and WLN to my emerging leaders. And I think back to the last 10 years, I think just about every year we've had somebody from Enterprise on Bridges and or the WLN, the Women's Leadership Network. And that allows me, they learn from that. And that's a way to provide them leadership. I've run out of things to teach them. So we'll let the great people at the United Way teach them how to be on a board and how to be leaders. That's my list. I'd be happy to pass that on to anybody else.
Does anyone else want to join in?
I will. Yeah, we campaign, obviously, we try to encourage giving for sure and volunteering on the giving side. Participate in the campaign. We do offer extra PTO. And then last year, we actually developed something, I probably stole it, called the VTO, volunteer time off. So if you do volunteer, you would get 8 hours of paid time off in order to volunteer. It doesn't matter where you want to do it. The fact is you're helping in the community, and definitely as a community bank, we're focused on trying to help everyone in the community. We're very focused in Central PA. The other thing is the day of caring. So we always try to put a team together for the day of caring. It's tough this past year not doing it. And it's great team building. Everyone in their Live United t-shirts, everyone focused together trying to help a nonprofit and meeting a local nonprofit and learning what they do is pretty incredible. I know for years, day of caring, I participated with CATRA, Capital Area Therapeutic Riding Association. And basically what we did was muck barns, and it wasn't a lot of fun, but it was hard work, and we all worked together. I definitely needed a shower after that, but gave you a great appreciation of working hard, helping a nonprofit, and learning what that nonprofit did to help the community.
Thank you, Bill. Many of the viewers joining us today are wondering how can they volunteer, how they become more engaged in United Way when they're trying to balance that professional life and family life. What advice would you give to these individuals? And Bill, I'd like to start with you. I know much of your volunteerism, you were also balancing raising 2 young children and handling their busy education and in extracurricular activities. So what advice would you give to our listeners?
Sure, it's not easy. You think about it, your average day, you would go to work, time there, come home, run some errands, spend some time with your family, and community is incredible. Living in Central PA, I'm actually a military brat. I was in the military for 23 years, so we lived in different countries in different areas. A while there, I thought about moving from the Harrisburg area, but kept coming back because, like Greg said, it's great small town feel. People are so nice in the Harrisburg area. Meeting the people here, you definitely don't believe it. And the quality of living, we're not too far from too many places. So, it's up to you. You have to make the decision and make time to say, you know what, I want this community to stay great. And how can I volunteer? How can I do it? You could start with Bridges. Go to a Bridges event. Go to a Link event. Reach out to the United Way and say, are there volunteer opportunities to help? There's the Day of Caring. There's the Youth Day of Caring. There's so many opportunities for you to get involved. And United Way makes it easy.
Thank you, Bill. Becky, do you have anything to add to Bill's remarks?
I wholeheartedly agree that United Way does make it easy. And the nice thing is that the staff of United Way is constantly trying to adjust times of meetings, of events, trying to work with people who are either professionals, full-time professionals with families, people who are raising families, people who are retired, kind of the whole spectrum of, whatever category we fall in. But they really do allow for either a very small time commitment, or you can say yes to anything that comes into your inbox and then would be incredibly busy. But also with COVID, I do have to put this plug in because I think this is going to be something that, at least for women of Tocqueville, was very successful, and I think will continue to do it. And that is kind of you stop, you pick up, and you go. And so there were volunteer projects that we could feel like we're still doing something for the community from, being locked in our houses, but still being able to feel that connection, and also having Zooms around that in case you wanted to have coffee and conversation about it, or whether it was cocktails at the end of the day and you were working on your little box or bag of whatever it is that we were doing, like doing masks, creating masks for people, or doing bags for people who were going into the workforce for the first time. So United Way has been very nimble and I think very successful in continuing to drive the level of impact that they always have, despite the fact that we have all been in lockdown, at some degree or another last year.
Thank you, Becky, and thank you for bringing up the volunteer kits. They've been highly successful. Our volunteers have really stepped forward to take this time of being at home to be very productive, and the result has been much needed products, services, masks, first aid kits going directly to people in need. Valerie, is there anything you'd like to add maybe to what we've already heard from Bill and Becky?
Yeah, I think I do like the ease of, especially during COVID, being able to take part in projects. And also when we were able to donate food, drop off food items. I know the staff did a really good job of making sure we were safe and socially distanced and still being able to make a difference in the community, which is very much appreciated. I too look forward to getting back to sans mask and getting vaccinated up and actually being out with people again. So I think we should look forward now to all the wonderful ways we're going to be able to help the community firsthand and doing it together. So I know next year we're looking forward to a day of caring. Hopefully we can get back into the food bank to make a difference and into shelters. So I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you, Val. And Greg, you have the last word on this question. Anything you'd like to add?
As I looked at how I've spent my time in how many hours or minutes the United Way has asked me to participate with, I look at the board stuff. It's always less than I think. It's always been worth it. On the networking stuff, I never feel pressured, even as the chair, that I have to go to this event. But every event I go to, I always have a great time. And I have a glass of wine, right? And that's important after a long day of running cars. And then the volunteerism, I mentioned this before, there's this great crossover to our business. And so I'm accomplishing two things at once because I'm able to engage with some employees. And then recently, I've crossed it over personally. So if I can spend time with my 18-year-old daughter who is trying to figure out the world heading to college, and I can do that and volunteer with her, that's quality time personally, and quality time from a philanthropic standpoint.
Wonderful. My final question today is for all of our panel members. This year marks the 100th anniversary of United Way of the Capital Region. This is a milestone event that not all organizations reach. Why do you believe United Way is still relevant? And I'd like to start with Greg, as he is going to be our board chair during this remarkable year. 100
years. Unbelievable. I the United Way is the best and most well-run philanthropic organization in central Pennsylvania. I can't say nationally because I haven't been exposed to anything else, but from what I've seen on my trips from Connecticut to Philly to central PA, it is the best. A big part of that is who works for the United Way. Ray Lynn. We have people like Ray Lynn all over our staff at the United Way. Tim Fatzinger. I'm not sure I would be as involved as I am if Tim, the president, wasn't as engaged and wasn't such a superhuman being and just makes you want to be involved. I think the United Way does a better job than any organization in finding not just the best community and business leaders, but the right ones. And there is a difference sometimes. The ones that are really going to push the organization forward. United Way, I never felt has relied on government. I think we've been opportunistic with when government is there to help, but we don't need government. And I think with our government, the changes that goes through, I think that's important. So the United Way can be extremely successful on the backs of business leaders, community leaders, and wonderful staff at the United Way. I see us getting better. And my job as the chair this coming year is to take all the things that my predecessors did and all the wonderful people on this call and on the boards in the community and just keep moving it forward. I think we have tremendous momentum, even on the heels of a tragic pandemic. I think we've got tremendous momentum to continue to make a major impact. Go for another 100 years.
Sounds fantastic. Valerie, do you want to add to any of Greg's comments?
Yeah, I think for 100 years, wow, what a fantastic landmark. And the fact that the United Way has just changed and adopted to what it needs to do and adapted to what it needs to do to make a difference in the community. You know, it's not stagnant. It's always looking for ways to progress and to improve. And so I look forward to seeing what that next 100 years will be, although I'll probably only be around for about 30 or 40 of those.
Becky, would you like to add to Val and Greg's remarks?
Well, I think it goes back to, Val has said this a number of times in the last hour about making a difference. And I think, especially when you talk about busy people, I think that we all want to kind of give as much as we can in the amount of time we can, and know that the organization we're doing that through allows us that opportunity to be as successful as possible in making a difference in our community. And the commitment of the staff, the commitment of the board, of Tim, of course, Greg, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that 100 years young, really am excited about the evolution I have seen in the last several years I've been involved, and know that it will just continue to build on the need to be relevant, the need to understand the data of our community and to be able to address the real issues and move the needle. And there is no better organization than United Way for that. So happy birthday.
Thank you, Becky. And Bill, you have the final word for the day.
No, pressure's on. You know, the United Way brings people together. And right now, we need that more than ever. With the pandemic, with everything going on, you know, people have been separated out. We need an organization to bring us together, and it's been doing it for 100 years. I've sat around a table with government leaders, with business leaders, nonprofit leaders, you name it. It's incredible that they can bring those people together to talk about a common cause, because there's few organizations out there that can do that. You know, during the COVID pandemic that we're still in, United Way was able to raise $296,000 by making some phone calls and some ads, and then taking the money and deploying it to the nonprofits that are hurting right now, help the community, help the people suffering from COVID. So, oh my gosh, it's just so impactful, and we need it now more than ever. So definitely, United Way is going to be around for another 100 years.
I couldn't agree more. I'd like to thank our outstanding panelists for being with us today. Thank you, Valerie, Becky, Bill, and Greg. And thank you, our donors and volunteers, for your support. We simply couldn't do our work without you. You've heard a lot about our affinity groups today. So feel free to reach out and connect with us for more information how you can make a difference through WLN, Bridges, Link, and the Women of Tocqueville Society. Thank you for supporting United Way, and have a great day.